I want to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out and spend your evening with us. My name's Helen. I'm the Executive Director of SORCA, which is the Squamish Off-Road Cycling Association, and we've put this event on tonight. If you don't know, we're a group in town, a nonprofit that advocates for and maintains the extensive network of trails that run all across the town and through the woods here. And we now have close to 1,700 members. Hopefully many of them are here in the room tonight. And to anyone who's not with SORCA, I know there's lots of other groups here, so thank you all for being here. Thank you to the candidates for taking the time to come out and answer our questions. And thank you to all the participants who are here to ask thoughtful questions. We hope it's going to be a really informative evening for anyone. So, as many of you know, which is probably why you're here tonight, our recreation assets and communities here in Squamish are really important to us, and they're facing increasing pressures from industry and development every day. But they're a large part of the reason that a lot of us have moved here and have decided to make our homes here. So we've all seen a lot of change in the last couple years, and there's probably going to be a lot more change coming to Squamish. And so I know we're all thinking about how we can help to preserve these green spaces and this water and the access to these spaces that we all hold very dearly. For SORCA, the main thing that we're always focusing on is trails, and that's for mountain bikers, for trail runners, trials riders, dirt bikers, all the groups that use the trails on a daily basis. And for the other groups here in the room, it might be any other number of recreation infrastructure and assets that you guys are passionate about. And we know there's a lot of issues too with growing tourism and population growth putting pressure on all this infrastructure as more and more people use it. And we're seeing some issues with camping and parking and maintenance. And we know those are all really hot topic issues for a lot of people. But we know this growth is also really important for a thriving economy. So we want the candidates here tonight to know that these issues are super important. And we want to find out what their priorities are and how they're going to help to address these things. A number of folks in the room tonight I know have been working hard with current mayor and council and municipal staff to make progress on a lot of the issues that we're facing. And I know we have representation from Squamish Access Society and the Climbers. You can raise your hands or cheer if you want when I call out your group. Squamish Wind Sports Society, Squamish Trails Society, Squamish Yacht Club, I think, is in the house. Squamish Dirt Bike Association. I know we've got somebody here from 99 Trials. Hopefully there's some trail runners in the room as well. Anyone else?
SORCA!
Right, obviously. All the mountain bikers. And I know a lot of people in the room are excited at the prospect of positive collaboration with whoever the new mayor and council end up being. And so with that, I'm going to do a brief overview of what the format of tonight is going to be. And most importantly, I know there's a lot of people who couldn't be here tonight. So whatever you learn, make sure you take some notes and make sure you share that out with your friends and your family and anyone else who might be interested to know about these things so they can get educated and go out to the polls when the time comes. So, format for the evening. Each candidate is going to come up and do a 1-minute intro, and we're going to keep a tight ship tonight. So I'm going to actually try and keep you to 1 minute each. We're going to call up the mayoral candidates in alphabetical order, and then the council candidates in alphabetical order. And we'll go through the 1-minute intros. They're going to tell you their name and their top priority around outdoor recreation here in Squamish and what they'd like to achieve. Then they're going to split off into pairs and join you at the tables. You're going to have 10 minutes at each table with each pair of candidates to ask your questions of them about the issues that matter to you the most. I know a lot of the groups here have prepared questions. If you're not associated with a group and you're not sure what questions to ask, I put out some sample questions just to get the juices flowing, but ask whatever you like about outdoor recreation and infrastructure. After 10 minutes, we will ring a cowbell in the spirit of sportsmanship, and then you will move on. The candidates are then going to move on to the next table. So you guys, participants, you can stay at your table. If you want to shift around a little bit, you can, but you're going to get the most out of it probably if you get to see every candidate as they move around the tables. Candidates, remember, one of you is going up through the table numbers, the other is going down through the table numbers. So you're going to be with a different candidate each time in your pairings, just to keep it fresh. And so anyone who's sitting over there, once the roundtable portion of the evening gets going, this is where the action's going to be. So please feel free to pull your chairs up next to one of the tables over here, so you can hear what's going on. Okay. I think that's it. Does anyone have questions about the format before we get going? No? Great. Okay, so I'm going to call up the candidates in alphabetical order, starting with the mayoral candidates. Oh, one other reminder, your drinks, if you have them, cannot leave the room due to liquor license. So please keep them in here, and feel free to keep grabbing more at any point. Okay, so first up with our mayoral candidates, we have Susan Chappelle.
I love always going first. It's amazing. So I want to start by sharing, and finish, I guess, in 1 minute, by sharing a story of why I came here. I grew up with healthcare issues, and what saved my life was bikes and mountains. I came to this community for bikes and mountains. I've lived bikes and mountains for my entire life since I was 12 and started getting out and managed to turn around my healthcare problems. And moving to this community was a massive, amazing change in my healthcare as well, because I put myself in the middle of bikes and mountains. I grew up climbing and riding, and being next to a massive piece of granite was incredibly important for me, as well as having access to the outdoors and trails. I am incredibly passionate about this community. I had my first baby. I went into labor on Deidre. I'm not sure if there's climbers in the room that know Deidre on the Chief. I climbed right up until the day that my baby was born. I've had 2 children in this community. Having them be able to participate in activities while doing other pursuits is incredibly important to me as well. Collaborating to build business and an economy around tourism and mountains and protecting what we have is incredibly important to me. So on October 20th, vote for Susan Chappelle. Thank you. Ding!
All right, next up, Jeff Cook.
Thank you, Helen. So I want to take a minute to address a question I've heard from a number of people over the last week or so. Some are saying, like, Jeff, you really need to have experience as a counselor to be a good mayor. But let's think about what makes a good mayor. A good mayor is someone who has, actually a great mayor is someone who has a clear vision and can communicate that well. A good mayor is someone that understands the financials and can negotiate hard on your behalf. A good mayor is a team builder and a great collaborator, because that is how things get done. And that is what I do. And the skills you learn in running a business, in working for Fortune 500 companies, are the skills you really need to run this town. The other stuff you can learn. So I want to just look a little bit at the facts of what's happened with people and how we've currently done things. We have a $100 million hole in our infrastructure budget. We have taxes that have gone up in the last 4 years, 18% for this average single family assessed value home. We have, this is for. We have interest on our debt. In 2022, the interest on our debt is forecast to be $2.2 million. We need to do something differently. The same way of doing things is not going to get us where we need to go. Now, anyone who's worked with me knows that I deliver, and I will put my head down, work hard, and get things done to make this community a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, next up we have Karen Elliott.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Karen Elliott, and I'm running to be the next mayor of Squamish. I'd really love to be able to stand up here tonight and tell you that I'm a super athlete, but I'm not. I am a weekend warrior. I do many sports, but I don't do any of them particularly well. But I do care about our recreational assets, and while I could stand up here tonight and talk about the importance of the refurbishment and expansion of Brennan Park, what I'm going to talk about is tourism management. So people love coming here. But what we're seeing is that some of those tourist activities are starting to conflict with the values and expectations of the people who live here. And tourism matters, it's important to us. But we also need to look after our locals. So I think we need to support more low-cost campgrounds. I think we need to invest more in our trailhead services, our signage, and avoiding parking congestion in our neighborhoods. And finally, I think we need to work with our recreation groups like yourselves and our tourism providers to create some really educational and fun and creative messaging to our tourists so they understand our expectations of how we want them to behave when they're on their trails and in our town. We need to build this town for everyone. Everyone matters, locals and tourists alike. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, next up we have Paul Lally.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Helen and SORCA and the rest of the event organizers for putting on this All Candidates. My name is Paul Lally, and I'm running for mayor for the District of Squamish. I was born and raised in Squamish, and over the years of growing up in Squamish, you know, we had a BMX track by Brennan Park. Used to go on that quite a bit. Used to ride our dirt bikes through the back trails. So outdoor recreation certainly has been a big part of my life. And now I have children, and they enjoy our trails. And of course, everyone knows mountain biking has exploded. So my priority for outdoor recreation would be, since the District of Squamish contributes funding for SORCA every year, is to focus that money towards youth-oriented trails for mountain biking. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. And next up we have Tess Lindsley.
So again, I would like to thank the organizers for putting this together this evening. And I would also just like to thank Squamish Nations, First Nations, for their cooperation with us as a whole when we are looking to enjoy ourselves either on the trails or the water or all these fantastic places that we have to live and play in. My background, I grew up in Vancouver. I used to sail a sailboat on the waters out of Kids Beach. I was really a fanatical skier. All of that has gone by the wayside, but I will never forget those experiences when I was young and how much I enjoyed those experiences. And I understand how important that the area that we have here is for young people. And I would like to see it grow, and I would like to see the business grow around all these interests. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tess. Okay, so those are all the mayoral candidates, and now we're going to move on to the council candidates in alphabetical order. First up, we have Eric Anderson.
Good evening. The quality of life offered by Squamish outdoor recreation and our access to nature, its potential development, its potential contributions to our economy now and in future is an interesting story. Also, for the UBC Department of International Forestry students, 30 students and 4 faculty members I had the pleasure of hosting 2.5 weeks ago. I took them to one of our great success stories, Smoke Bluffs Park. Or rather, I took them to tell them about the success story of the 5 organizations that work together to deliver that success story. You know who you are. Our organizations in the outdoor recreation field are a major outdoor recreation asset, and it's through encouraging, respecting, and listening to you that we can address our tourism recreation infrastructure deficit. So these organizations are our asset. We, through collaboration with the district and our future community forest, yes, it's on the way. Lobbying the senior levels of government, they've got a big role to play in this infrastructure deficit. We can work together and move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. I also just want to say, if I miss anyone's name or it's not in alphabetical order, please yell at me, and I will correct it. Okay, Ed Archibald up next.
Good evening, my name is Edward Archibald and I'm running for a position on council. I first came to Squamish in 1988 as a young child on the Royal Hudson. Fast forward to 2008 as a young adult, hanging out at Nexon Beach, looking up at the chief and what Squamish had to offer and said, I've got to move here one day. In 2015, I moved up here with my newly born son and my wife and our dogs and have not looked back. Since that time, I've kind of developed the Squamish dream, so to speak. The garage has the quad, the dirt bike, the mountain bike, the snowmobile. So outdoor access to me is incredibly important. Tourism is an item that is kind of overrunning the town, but it is also integral to our economy. And so if I'm elected over the next 4 years, my goals will be to help manage that balance between the economy, between keeping Squamish Squamish, and ensuring we've got access and respect the environment that we're in. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Edward. Next up, we have Phil Audette.
Hi everyone, my name is Phil Odette. I'm running for a seat in the council. It is an honor to be part of this community and to help serve in any capacity. Thanks to all the volunteers, trail builders, and just anyone who participates in making Squamish the amazing community that it is. I would like to address good environmental stewardship as a key issue. The projected demand on the backcountry and the current use make this a very important issue. Now more than ever, we need to educate and engage visitors, youth, and ourselves as to good practices. In my mind, it's one of those investments where I think we put $1 in and we get over $10 or $20 at least for that investment. Now, Squamish is a truly great place to live and raise a family. It's on our shoulders to keep it that way, and I hope you vote for me.
Thanks, Phil. Okay, next up, Ron Baum. Baum?
Hello, my name is Ron Bain. I'm running for council this time. And I didn't really come here to buy votes with promises that I can't keep. So what I'm going to tell you is I'm a problem solver. You come with me with ideas or problems, and I'll do everything I can to bring them to fruition. You know, it's going to have to be done with creative funding and more volunteers. And if it benefits young families and children, it's got my approval. So I will work for you if the ideas are good and it benefits the community as a whole. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, next up, Paul Dosange.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Paul Dosange, and I've lived in Squamish for almost all my life, for 45 years now. I'm married, got 2 beautiful daughters, and just want to make Squamish a little bit more affordable for great families to raise their families here. Tourism, the biking community has exploded. That's just crazy how much money they bring in. I work at Save On Foods, and we just see the difference in the summertime to the wintertime. And it's great that how much revenue that we can get from these. So we have to take care of the trails, maybe lobby the local and federal governments for grants for all groups, not just the biking community as well. That'd be a great thing. Yeah, so I just hope you vote for me on October 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Sasha Fabry. Fabry. I'm coming.
Thanks so much. Hi everyone, my name is Sasha Fabry. I'm running a campaign here on 3 key platforms. My 3 platforms are livability, accountability, and sustainability. On the question of what's most important in Squamish, I actually find that one a little difficult here, because if I talk about the trails, then the water sports and the yacht club will be mad at me, and if I talk about the water sports, then the trails and everyone else will be mad. But what I do think is important is understanding that they are all interrelated. Squamish is a place that we all love. Squamish is a place that we all came here to live and play, which is why livability, including all of these recreation activities, is part of my platform. And the one thing that I can promise you folks is that I will always meaningfully engage with you. You are the experts. You know what's best for your organizations. You know the problems you are facing better than I or any individual counselor ever will. And I will promise to always listen to you folks and to help together with the other team members on council and mayor come up with the solutions that help keep Squamish livable, accountable, and sustainable. Thank you so much, and I hope on October 20th you'll consider voting for me.
Thank you. He already knows. It's John French.
It's the alphabet. I was going to save this joke for later, but the alphabet thing just works. So in the early days of SORCA, Cliff Miller, of course, was one of the leaders. Cliff's a real joker. WORCA already existed, and there was a group of us in Squamish who were getting together and doing regular mountain bike rides, social rides. And we agreed we needed to have an organization too, and we knew it was going to be called SORCA. And Cliff said, "Yeah, that we got to get the Pemberton people to form a group as well. And they got to call themselves PORCA." Cliff wore that joke out for like 4 years. So I was born and raised in Squamish, and I was quite active in the very early days of SORCA. So I'm really excited that SORCA heads up this initiative and brings these recreation partners together for this event. I went on to be less involved with SORCA and heavily involved with the Tests of Metal. And my relationship with mountain biking kind of went from there. So I encourage you to check out my website. It's johnfrench.ca. My platform is there, and there's a lot more about me on that website. And I want to talk a little bit about partnerships. These groups that are here tonight, you're very valuable for me and for the District of Squamish moving ahead, because people are coming here. We need to keep our tourists happy, and we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure that has them coming back and spending money in a restaurant, staying in our hotels. So I look forward to chatting with people further through the evening. johnfrench.ca. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Someone made the very good suggestion that we get the next counselor up on deck, so I'm going to call out 2 names, and the next person can come wait with me over there. So next up we have Stephen Fryer, and then Alana Gillis.
I'd like to take this opportunity first to recognize that we are all gathering here today on the unceded Squamish territory, so thank you very much to them for allowing that to happen. My name is Stephen Fryer, and I'm a council candidate for 2018. I'm raised here, much like John. I am raising the 3rd generation of my family here, and outdoor recreation is what brings people to our town. I'd like to preserve and conserve those outdoor recreation assets, and I'd like to work together with everybody in this room to continue to do so if I'm elected. Thank you.
Okay, great. So next up, Alana Gillis, and then Rajan Hans.
Thank you. Good evening. I had something prepared and I've totally thrown it at the window, so bear with me. I grew up in the middle of the country. I grew up surrounded by forest. So one of the things that drew me to Squamish was my connection to the forest. I'm out on the trails every single day. I have done a fair amount of trail running, hiking, but my passion is simply being on the trails, walking slowly through nature. So my priority when it comes to outdoor recreation is ensuring that the natural environment that I think drew probably the majority of us in this room together is protected and preserved. And that means educational programs for tourists coming in to the place that we love. And it also means collaboration with all of the groups that are here represented here tonight to continue to make sure that you have access, we all have access to the trails, to the rivers, to the ocean that we have absolutely fallen in love with. So thank you.
Okay, great. So we've got Rajan Hans, and next up, Armand Herford.
Hi everyone, my name is Rajan Hans. A unique question I've got all over this campaign is, why do you want to ruin your 20s and run for council? I honestly couldn't think of a better way to spend them. It's the best way for me to serve a community that I've been born and raised in and grown up to love. I want to bring a new voice to the table and help make positive change. My generation is the future of this town, and I intend on being the forward-thinking voice. I have energy, time, and a unique perspective to bring to the council table. I've been involved in many organizations, and I understand the importance of collaboration. I want to explore community forest agreements and other agreements and partnerships and use them to treat every group in this room as a stakeholder and not a burden. Thank you. And October 20th, vote Roger Nance.
Great, thank you. Okay, Armand, and then is Kevin Jewell here? He is, great. Kevin, you're up next.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Armand Herford. Squamish has been the home for my family for 4 generations now, and I care deeply for it. I own and operate Republic Bicycles in Brackendale, and I'm a founding member of SORCA. As such, I have first-hand knowledge of the work required to build and maintain outdoor recreation infrastructure, and we've created a monster. The word is out. Squamish is an awesome place to play outside. This has come with new challenges. Maintaining the facilities we have has become increasingly challenging as the local clubs are now saddled with maintaining their resource used no longer just by the locals, but by the world. #VanLife has put pressure on all our organizations, with our visitors quite often making themselves at home in less than ideal spots and in dizzying numbers. Squamish Search and Rescue is doing an amazing job looking after us all when things don't go to plan, but they need more support to maintain this high level. I see these as just some of our shared issues, and I look forward to chatting with you all to find other common and unique issues, and more importantly, solutions tonight. Thank you.
Okay, next up we've got Kevin and then Janice McLean.
Hello again, everybody. So I'm running again for council from 4 years ago, and I hope to obviously do a better job this time around. My family and I moved here about 8 years ago, and when we moved here, we fell in love with the place. We didn't fully realize, I don't think at the time, what it meant to be the outdoor recreation capital of Canada. Well, I can no longer be so naive. I know exactly what that means, and I'm very proud to be part of this community as such. I want to tell you a quick story about what culture means. If you think back in the day of Mozart, Mozart would not have been able to be the great composer that he was had he not had the pre-existing culture necessary to foster that development and environment. And that's what I see Squamish needing to do right now. We need to foster and develop and bring forward all of the great community that we have here, and that includes SORCA and all the other groups that we have here today. Basically, we need to build on that, and by building on the culture, we build on the sustainability of the economy here, and by building on that, we solve some of our other problems that we have. So please consider voting for countonkevin.ca. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up Janice and then Rick McKinney.
Thank you, Helen. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me and my colleagues or my fellow candidates to be here tonight to listen to you. And I've been a resident of Squamish for over 26 years. I raised 3 sons, and I have 2 grandchildren here, and we have used every facility or every trail, waterfront, every activity that you provide. I think what's really important with your organizations is your demonstration to collaborate. And I believe in collaboration. That's what I do best, collaboration and relationship building. And I have lots of examples of that, but I won't bore you with those. But I believe that's what I can bring to the table. I'm a good listener. And if you go to the district website, it has a list of all us candidates. And if you just click on our name, I have my phone number, my cell number, my website, and my email. And you can communicate with me anytime. And I look forward to hearing your questions and concerns tonight. So I'm listening.
Thank you. Okay, next up Rick, and then we've got Lee O'Callahan.
Thank you. Hey everyone, good evening. My name's Rick McKinney, and I'm running for a seat on council. to ensure that everyone in our community has a voice. I've spent my life in Squamish, and a large part of that giving back to the community. I've seen it expand and change in many ways. I love the natural beauty of Squamish. Outdoor recreation is a huge part of my lifestyle and what has kept me in Squamish, and of course the biggest reason for our explosive population growth. I strongly believe that outdoor recreation and access is of utmost importance. I think that we need to improve and expand on our existing trails network and recreation throughout the Sea to Sky corridor. We need to address parking concerns at our local hotspots and increase and expand infrastructure such as toilets to accommodate the large number of visitors that also want to experience the gem we all call home. I am passionate about making Squamish the best it can be. For more info, check out my website at voterickmckinney.ca and vote for Rick on the 20th of October. Thanks, have a great night.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, we've got Leo Callahan and then Bianca Peters up next.
My name is Leo Callahan and I'm running for council. The tourism industry in BC is absolutely booming. This should help transition Squamish tourism from a marketing organization into a destination management organization. Combine this with the hotel tax going from 2% to 3%. The hotel tax goes directly to Tourism Squamish. Is the perfect scenario for everybody in this room. As your councillor, I would ask to have a non-voting seat on the Tourism Squamish board. Let's tighten up the relationship between the district, Tourism Squamish, and all the groups in this room to get more funding for the things we love. I'm Leo Callahan. I hope you vote for me.
Thanks, Lee. Okay, we have Bianca Peters up next, and then Chris Pettengill.
Hello, my name is Bianca Peters and I'm running for a seat on council on October the 20th. I'd like to thank you all for having me out here tonight and all the other candidates. This is a great forum. I just made a couple of notes. So I believe the outdoor recreation is the foundation of our community. It's brought a lot of you to this community. Throughout my career here in Squamish, the past 20 years that I've lived here, I've had the opportunity to work and leverage our opportunities or our relationships together. I'm also a big fan of outdoor recreation. Up until recently, my best friend Ben, he passed away on June 27th. He was a lab whiler. We would hang out together at the Spit, in the estuary, in the backcountry. And I know many of you have dogs and children, and this is a wonderful community to spend time with your family. I also believe that we have a lot of opportunities to leverage. I remember back when I worked for Shaw TV, we went out to the Spit back before it was a beautiful, like it's beautiful now, we're just doing a really good job there. And Richard Branson from Virgin dropped out of a plane and he came down and he said that Squamish was absolutely beautiful. And I understand sitting at the Squamish Windsport table, they've got some issues, they've got a budget. How about we invite Richard Branson back? $100,000? That probably costs, you know, not much for his place in Necker Island. So why don't we invite him back and why don't we leverage all these opportunities and make some money, right? Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, if any of you feel like voting for me, I really appreciate it. And I look forward to speaking to all of you and working with you and hearing all your concerns tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bianca. Okay, we've got Chris Pettengill up next, and then Doug Race.
Hi, everyone. First, just thank all of you for being so engaged this election. My name is Chris Pettengill. I came here for the mountain biking and snowboarding like many in this room, and I'm running to serve you as one of your next councillors. What I'm focusing on in terms of outdoor rec is balance, and as I've been talking to people, it's something that I'm hearing we want and that we need. For me, that includes a recognition of how fortunate we are. Just our natural assets by themselves grant us the world-class rec opportunities that we see, but it also means we are incredibly desirable and expensive. So we need to work hard to make sure that Squamish isn't just a place for the wealthy and the privileged. We need to think carefully about what rec services we should manage in-house with taxpayer money and when we should rather empower and facilitate private and or nonprofit groups to provide some of the services we desire. We need to balance our resourcing of arts, rec, and culture together, as these make for complete, fulfilled people. And last but not least, we need to make sure we're striking the right balance between our ability to explore and experience our surroundings, but also our responsibilities regarding reconciliation and our responsibilities to preserve and protect our surroundings so they're worth exploring and experiencing for many years to come. Once again, I'm Chris Pettingill, and I very much appreciate your support.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, we've got Doug Race and then Jenna Stoner.
Thank you. So I'm just completing my 3rd term on council, and this is my 4th election campaign. So I'd like to thank SORCA again for hosting this event. I've participated in a lot of different sports over the years, land-based sports, but the single largest sport or significant sport in my life has been racing sailboats. And I started doing that before I was a teenager, and I still do it occasionally today. And it has taken me to different places all over the world. So it gives me a bit of a bias, I'll confess to that, because when asked to think about one piece of infrastructure that I'd like to see, it is more development on our ocean front for waterfront sport, for water sports. And that includes paddling, includes sailing, includes wind sports. Last summer, the Squamish Yacht Club and West Vancouver Yacht Club co-hosted the Optimist Championships, the Canadian Optimist Championships. And it brought 100 kids from the ages of 8 to 14 from across Canada to sail in our ocean front. There are many more opportunities for that. That filters down to community programming and entry-level programming, and the district has a role to play in that. So I just found out 2 days ago that I'm the bottom of the ballot. So hopefully I am your first choice, but the bottom of the ballot. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, next up, Jenna Stoner, and then we've got Mike Young.
All right, we're in the S's, which means you guys are almost done and we get to the exciting part. My name is Jenna Stoner. I want to start off by thanking all of the nonprofits and people in this room who have worked so tirelessly, dedicated time and energy to respectfully come to the table and negotiate with stakeholders for the recreational access that we have today. It's because of your successes that we have seen huge growth in the recreation sector, which is completely invaluable to this community. However, it also means that the infrastructure and the volunteer capacity that our recreational assets are dependent on are being stretched to their limits currently. That is why, if I were elected to council, my top priority with regards to recreation and access would be to build existing relationships with the civil society organizations, different levels of government, and the private sector to find innovative solutions and new funding models that will sustainably support our recreation assets well into the future. With nearly 10 years experience working at the intersection of government, conservation, and business, I'm really well suited to facilitate these conversations and deliver pragmatic solutions. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the evening.
Thanks, Jenna. And Mike Young.
Good evening, everybody. I am pleased to say that I am the last candidate to speak this evening up here, so we can move on with our speed dating round. My name is Mike Young, and I'm a candidate for Municipal Council. I am a local small business owner, and my wife and I have lived here in Squamish for the last 18 years, where we're raising 2 small children. I, like many of you, am active in the community. I volunteer on several boards and am active in the youth sports. Your groups provide countless hours and your own money to provide our community visitors and a wide range of visitors to outdoor recreational activities. Your efforts not only protect and enhance our parks, but provide backcountry access to the public. Your ongoing efforts advocating government, landowners, and environmental groups provide access through private agreements, policy, legislation to stimulate our local economy and provide new opportunities for local small business owners. We need to build a stronger relationship and continue to work collaboratively with the stakeholders, including residents, landowners, industry, event organizers, First Nations, and environmental groups in order to allow all of your hard work to continue for generations to come. I'm Mike Young. Please visit my website, ilikemikeforsquamish.ca, and I approve this message.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.